Hello and welcome. We are Appalachian Dragons, where me and my favorite backwoods bastards get together and we like to play Dungeons and Motherfucking Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Tonight we are on session 19 of Tyranny of Flagons. Last week, the Lords of Nightstone returned from Avernus, the first circle of hell, after their bitter entanglement with Enmity, the Duke of Wrath. Upon returning, they realized that their ship had been destroyed. The Westwind Wyvern lie in ruins before them. They spent some time to assess the damages and find the fallen members of their team, particularly Akira and Kava, the latter of which was already dead, but that's a whole other thing. Harvey Birdman, Khaled, and Kaya, but they were able to find some survivors, particularly Jesse, the gunner with a broken arm, Tajin, who had had his wings removed by Erebus, Vulcan, who was missing a hand, as well as Penelope, Gideon, and Tabitha, with not minor injuries, but certainly less severe ones. The party decided to try to get everybody out would be beneficial, but due to their numbers, they gave their friend Safine a ring and asked for a ride. She arrived in a bolt of lightning and relayed that she's not surprised about the attack. That it's apparently been quite volatile the last several days, as dragons have been attacking cities and just causing general havoc. At this point, a mighty bellow of a deep, bassy horn echoed throughout the countryside and was uncomfortable for everyone, but particularly so for Archinox, Tajin, and Safine. Safine immediately panicked and told everyone to get down as she covered them with illusion as a massive flock of wyverns seemed to gather and fly over the mountain ridge and began heading southward. Archinox was able to spot his wyvern, Diabol, and attempted to draw him away from the swarm, only to find that the horn's effect seemed to be clouding his wyvern's judgment. As the wyverns instead rushed toward the party, Safine and Davos managed to get everyone back to Waterdeep. A couple of quick teleports later, the lords began calling all of their allies and trying to gather them for what was to be a council meeting to discuss the attacks and their options going forward. The Yuan, specifically, told the party of his intentions to destroy the Book of Vile Darkness that had plagued him and slowly been eating away at his very being. And Davos released the spirit of Seraphina to rend the book into two pieces, thus freeing Yuan from its foul grip. We're going to come back to that in just a second since we have Sir Davos with us today. But after that, the party agreed that the dragon masks were better utilized as tools, and seeing them as a means to an end, Pandora equipped the green dragon mask that she had taken from the green worm speaker, Kay. This caused a rather dramatic transformation, causing her to have a flurry of scales across her face, still tufts of fur, and very feline in essence, but much sharper and almost more predatory than she may have looked before. As this happened, the following morning, Goldbrand awoke Gideon early to take him down to Barbarian's Bath before dawn and prepare the ritual for reincarnation. He was able to successfully bring back Kaya of the Black Raven tribe as a halfling, and taught Gideon this spell to where he brought back Harvey Birdman. Harvey Man? Well, he's working on it. Who is now a human instead of an Aarakocra. As he successfully brought a member of the Uthgard back, Goldbrand decided that Gideon was finally fully realized as a Starkeeper and relinquished his title to his son. The party then rushed along to the council meeting, where they saw a great number of allies from both the Jotun as well as many of the clans that they had saved or that they had worked with the Uthgard, members of the Emerald Enclave and the Harpers and the Lords Alliance and the Order of the Gauntlet. A very strong showing from all fronts in this very serious effort to counter Tiamat. Few of the events that happened at this meeting, Pandora received an apology and a gift from the Amethyst Dragon, a scale that made flight effortless and imbued her with some telekinetic abilities. Pandora also learned that the reason the Amethyst Dragon had been unable to answer her before was that the Obsidian Dragon Egg had been quite active lately, and revealed that when the horn had sounded, the egg hatched. the party was able to discuss with the council the necessary components to Tiamat's resurrection ritual, of which, of course, that it had to be done at the Well of Dragons, which was a sacred site to the southeast, and has now been heavily occupied by the Dragon Queen's forces, wyverns, dragons, drakes, dragonborn, and her amassed cultists. The other components of the ritual include the Horde, which had to be gathered and was gathered via the use of these mimic coins that have been slowly eating the gold throughout their circulation of the continent, as well as the sacrifice, the process of slaughtering several hundred souls, which seems to be connected to a high number of kidnappings and disappearances from cities across the country. The last component, of course, being the dragon masks, which the lords had successfully won 2 of them, leaving, of course, the 3 red to Enmity, the Duke of Wrath, black to Erebus the Unassailable, and blue to Dimitri the Mad. They also learned of this Dimitri the Mad and his connection to the Lord's Alliance captain Zane, telling him that this Dimitri is of another universe and appears to be killing other versions of himself to draw in their power. They also learned that Cloth had not yet mobilized like many of the other chromatic dragons had, and it was suggested that he may not be exactly thrilled with the Dragon Queen's return, that this might be able to use to their advantage if they can persuade him to try to prevent her resurrection. I think the last big bit of information was that they learned that the undead that Malek, the White Worm speaker, had been raising had collapsed when they slew him, but had mysteriously begun arising in smaller numbers. It appears that somebody is trying to pick up where he left off. Following the meeting, Goldbrand and Bergen were able to work with Tabitha and Vulcan to restore and regenerate their arms, and attempted to do the same on Tajin, but found that his wings seemed to either have been torn off by a cursed object, or something about the nature of the weapon just prevented regeneration. Tajin was seems satisfied to carry this as a burden of his loss, but that is where we left off on Tyranny of Flagons. And we're back. As we return to the Lords of Nightstone, we are just going to do a little bit of time fuckery and retcon a couple of quick things. We're going to wind it. Yeah, we are going to wind back just a few hours to the night before, just after the destruction of the Book of Vile Darkness. Seraphina, I think is how I was saying it, and I'm going to drop this in chat. Davos, when Seraphina emerged from your amulet, she was quite thankfully restored from her state. Her wings no longer appeared plucked, and she did not bear the same scars and wounds that she had received while her time in the Maw. She was rather resplendent, even, glowing from a light from within that pierced through her wings and feathers and sort of sent lights cascading across the room with every beat. She was, her eyes also, fully restored by your own hands, shine as bright as they regard you. And she speaks in Celestial. Praise be to the Morning Lord's champion, truly the bravest of men. Because of your actions, Dawnbringer, the world has been cleansed of a great and pervasive evil. You truly radiate the Morning Lord's light, and a blazing beacon in the deepest shadows. I am truly in your debt for freeing me from enmity's foul grip, and for this I leave with you a fragment of myself. May my wings guide you ever skyward, bracing you for the storms that lie ahead, and bring you ever closer to his radiance.
Thank you. I'm gonna need all the help we can get.
And yet, as I recovered within your amulet, I felt that a great darkness now shrouds over you. And as she says this, you feel the branding of Bell sort of itch a bit on your left arm. She says, the grip that it has on your soul threatens to snatch you from Lathander's reach. And should you fall while such things cling to you, I'm afraid you shall never know the warmth of dawn again. He knows of the deals you've made, Dawnbreaker. And while he understands that your means might have been just, he does not take such bargains lightly. Such contracts are dangerous. Woe and misfortune follow those souls that have been laid claim to, and such lives are oft met with untimely ends. I leave you with this, Dawnbreaker. You cannot shine a light when you have only darkness within. As her skin grew brighter, she seemed to rush upward before bursting into light upon making contact with the ceiling, returning once more to the celestial realm. Sorry, go ahead.
That was ominous.
As it should be.
I'd like to clarify for Davos, this is while we were in the room in the Flagon Dragon, right? This is right after they destroyed the book?
Correct.
So sure, we save you on at the cost of myself. I don't know that it was worth it.
You made that handshake, motherfucker.
And we didn't kill him.
Yes. There's still opportunities. We'll get to that in a bit. We now fast forward back to where we left off. This is back in the ballroom within Waterdeep. The gathered members not quite dispersed yet, as they seem to be making plans and strategizing. This is just after the regeneration of Tabitha and Vulcan's limbs. Bergen turns to you, Davos, and says, yeah, I haven't really thanked you yet for investigating the Shriekwood and for getting integrity out of hell. I admit I feel kind of shitty. I haven't been much of a help lately. I mean, we've been tied up trying to patch up soldiers between dragon attacks and just trying to keep everybody on their feet for as long as we can. Tiamat's not even crossed over yet, and she's already responsible for the deaths of hundreds.
I know you've been busy, Berg Dog. So I've tried to do what I can to fill your place. No shame needed.
No.
We're both on the same mission, different tasks.
Fighting on different fronts, my brother. No, you've done well. Everyone's still vertical, and despite V's latest makeover, we'll call it, everybody's looking pretty, everybody's upright, which is all that matters.
See my wings?
Yeah, dude, that's fucking sick. Like, did you just, I don't know, did you pluck a chicken and roll around in it before you came here, or?
Very funny. Your mother gave them to me.
My mother's dead. That's a tragic part of my backstory, sir. JK. In fact, while talking to you about filling in his shoes, he'll sort of glance over to Pandora, and he sees your ring of spell storing on your hand. It says, I may not be able to go with you guys, but I can at least lend a hand. And he reaches out a hand towards you, Pandora.
Yeah, gonna stick my little hand out like a dainty little princess.
He will very demurely take it, and just not so much in a romantic way, but just almost jokingly flirtatious as Bergen can be, and plant a quick kiss upon your ring. And he's going to imbue it with a very special mass cure wounds, because this is a Bergen mass cure wounds.
Oh,
So this, it's actually a 6th level, which is 1 level higher than the ring should take, but we're giving you a little extra pepper because Bergen's helping out. So again, 30-foot spear within a 60-foot radius, 3d8 plus 12, and
Holy
when you
shit.
use it, you specifically gain another 10 hit points.
oh shit, that's a spicy heal.
Yeah, so automatically gives you 10, and then gives up to like, what is that, 16, 24, up to like 36 points to everyone else, which is a solid little boost.
Pick people up, you know?
Gotta keep them standing. That's what it's all about. Live to fight another day and all that jazz. What's funny is while this light radiates out, Goldbrand, you feel a bit of a twitch in your pocket. And I
In
know,
my
that thing hasn't
pocket?
worked for years.
Ah, yeah, no, it's true. Goldbrand looks down, startled. In my pocket. I mean, what's he got in there? Oh, it's Ember.
You reach in and pull out a egg speckled with orange and yellow specks that soon, just as you pull it out, cracks and bursts into flame. It actually catches some of the fur on your bearskin cloak, singes it a little bit. But you soon see a cute little chick that is Ember. As Bergen sees this, he oh, I dropped that in the wrong chat. As Bergen sees this, he grins a bit and he goes, "Oh, well, I'm sad to see you. I'm sad to see you were needed, Ember, but forgot how cute you were." He nuzzles the chick a bit, which rubs up against him. He
It
goes,
might be best if you take take him back. Her back. Only going to be in danger with us. And we can call her if we need her.
Bergen takes her and sort of nuzzles her a bit to his face and says,
Puts her in his pauldron.
"Well, you know what, bud? I'm not sad that Ember was reincarnated, because it is pure selflessness to give your life for another. And while it's been years since I've seen her as a cute little hatchling, this is what she's here for, to bring the people who are important to her back. And while she may not be quite as potent in this form, I think she'll do more good for you on the front lines than she will for me."
You say that, but you haven't been fireballed like 3 or 4 times in the last 2 weeks. That's
Exactly. That's why you need it. He hands Ember back over. I am going to include this in chat. We need to discuss it, actually. So, as a chick, Ember only gives you 5 hit points back, and we need to make sure we're all clear on the trigger, because we've had a couple of different things through the campaign. Originally, it was if the creature dropped to 0 hit points, and then we decided we want to have an opportunity to pick the people who drop up. So we said after they fail their first death save. The only other alternative is after it fails their second death save. But this is very risky, because someone can fail 1 death save, but if they're hit, that's 2 failures. So that would be that would be dead. So what trigger do you want to have?
Could one of us use like a reaction? Magic password?
I was about to ask similarly if automatic triggers were the only choice, or if we could choose to fire it.
You could choose, but it would have to be like, you couldn't wait till I said, so and so goes to strike Davos while he's down and say, now we use it. It would have to be prior to events such as that. It won't be quite as.
So, if we said it took a bonus action, that would cover that sort of thing. You can't use a bonus action outside of your turn, etc., etc.
Well, I'm okay with keeping it as a. I'm okay with keeping it as a reaction. I'm trying to decide if this is actually game breaking or not. Maybe bonus action is better, because that would require you to, give that command on your turn while an enemy isn't.
You could say reaction, but it has to be on your turn if you didn't want to use the bonus action economy. to fix that, like that you're trying to avoid, of us going, wait,
Yeah.
I use.
Yeah, I will say, I will allow that. Let's say a player can use their bonus action or their reaction on their turn specifically to send Ember to that individual. So bonus action or reaction on player's turn to pick up ally.
I second that motion.
You
This
had
is-
no say in it.
I'll
Seems to be the
allow it.
most flexible.
I'm gonna drop this in. Oh shit! Whoops. I'm gonna drop this in chat with that cute little picture of Ember. I'll even put it in the bag of holding too, so we just have it for won't get lost in the records. Fantastic. You guys have your lovely little chick who is going to take very good care of you, hopefully. It's funny. The chick, I think, sort of kind of looks at Davos, seeing him for the first time with wings, and it's kind of just like, the fuck? It's like, I think has a nice interest in your wings, Davos. Sort of perps up in your shoulder, like, Mom?
Be dead.
Doesn't matter. You're the first thing it imprinted on. Your mom.
You've got armor and pauldrons for her to hide in, like she used to do.
Hell yeah.
Scurries in your armor and is therefore safe from any damage whatsoever. No AoEs for this chick. It's
Damn,
funny
What
as
you're saying is we need to go buy a giant pauldron that we could just walk behind. No AoE.
Oh, I'll allow
Towers.
it.
We mount
funny,
tower
as you-
shields on either sides of Goldburn's shoulders.
Bro.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, I have one, a big, tall, like bullet halter.
You do, yeah. I don't
Forgot
think it's
about
quite that massive, but yeah.
Forgot about that.
As you, it's funny, as Ember is sort of poking around your wings, Davos, you sort of hear, I had wings once. But then, when I had wings, you didn't have wings. And now you've got a pair, but I don't. Just seems a little fishy to me. And you turn to see, Harvey Man? Humanoid, long white shaggy hair, kind of messy, even though he's just been born, kind of shaggy, and rather plain looking human, but he's just looking at your wings with a bit of envy.
Yeah, it looks like you're hardly Birdman now.
Yeah, so you're like the nickname guy. So Al, you just called him you just called Bergen something 3 seconds ago, and I've forgotten it because I have ADHD. Berg Dog.
Berg
You
dog.
called him. You said Berg, and I thought you said bird, and so I responded, and then I realized you weren't talking to me, and that was a little embarrassing. It's gonna take a little while to get used to. If you're,
Yes. It's disappointing you've lost your wings.
well,
I can imagine how that might feel.
I mean, you fuck around with that black worm speaker anymore, you might find out, dude. Like he was brutal.
Yeah. He was.
But I need on a lighter subject, Gideon told me you gave him his name, and you give out nicknames. I need you to come up with something for me, all right? You don't got to give it right now. I need you to cook on it. Want it to be
Okay.
good.
Might have to see you in some action.
He's like, oh, I'm. And he starts to say oh, I'm pretty capable, and then he starts to realize all of the fighting techniques he's learned have been specifically as an Aarakocra, and therefore aren't necessarily applicable to a human. And he's like, I'll get back to you on
Look on the bright side. You have human privilege now.
that. Yeah, human privilege. I could blend in and get shoes and shit. I've never had shoes before. That'll be neat. I think hearing the voice, I think that's nearby. Avalon sort of perks up a bit and wanders over, and after sort of being filled in, she's surprised, and she kind of gives him a look like, oh, I'm kind of gonna miss the wings, but I can deal
No
with it.
furry passion anymore.
Yeah. Barb would know, her last two boyfriends had feathers and scales, so it's kind of a, she might have a type.
I just assumed it was less the body type and more the flying sex.
I mean,
my
that is a
God.
huge perk. Like, I mean, honestly. She'll pop him on the like tap him a little lightly on the chest and say, why don't we go do some shopping? I'm sure we can find a pair of boots of flight around somewhere in this city. And Harvey's like, there's boots that can let you fly? Shoes rule. And those two wander out of the chamber to go do some, try to get him his wings back. I think around this same time, Gideon and Kaya are still kind of lingering around. And there's this awkward energy between them because now she's a halfling and it's just kind of weird for both of them. But he's staying very close to her, very protective, doesn't want to leave her and, let anything happen to her. And you see that she's no longer wearing a cloak, that while you guys were having your council meeting, that she went and got some leather armor, some daggers. Her hair was once that long white that sort of went over her gray skin, and now it's like a deep black across very pale skin. And she looks almost unrecognizable. I'd say that really the only thing that really clicks is like the eyes still have that same like sharpness behind them. And she still sort of like cocks her hip to one side and kind of like leans on it in a particular way that the stance is reminiscent of her as a drow. She pipes up actually, perhaps tugging on one of your hands to bring your attention down to her, and says, you guys are going to fight or talk to Cloth, is that right?
Oh,
Goldburn, you're having a really hard time there.
everyone's not sure that's
Uh,
the correct,
Yeah, Goldburn either overuses the air quotes or like
does his whole
it
hands
doesn't quite get
talk to
Yeah.
cloth.
I do not understand punctuations. She goes, well, you better be careful. I mean, old Snarl's particularly vicious. His den isn't very far from Raven Rock. I mean, it's a huge valley. We used to have run-ins with him from time to time. Typically, the best advice I can give you is don't eat anything that's his, and don't steal anything that's his. And I think she'll give sort of a pointed look to Pandora on that last one.
5 people in the circle look at Pandora.
Exactly.
Pandora's just gonna poof into the cat dimension.
She goes,
We're getting.
yeah. Goldbrand, you are familiar enough with the stands to know roughly where Raven Rock is, and that gives you a good point of reference for where to begin your search for his den. I think she'll say, we never saw his cave or his lair or whatever directly, but he's a colossal dragon, the biggest on the plane. It can't be that hard to find.
I've learned to stop saying things like that. We'll see what we can find. So we appreciate the warnings. To be honest, Goldbrand seems mildly unimpressed with the thought of Cloth just from all the shit they've been through the last, week or two. So,
I think
I might have a request. So this just occurred to Devin, so I guess it occurred to Goldbrand. How are we gonna get there without a ship? We have mounts, but Ark's mount got Drakkenhorned.
well, and that would also take you quite a while to fly there. You can certainly
Say
teleport.
Ark can fly.
We can't fly as fast as the mounts could. If the mounts are gonna take a long time,
Teleportation circle.
there's not gonna be
you
one
guys-
at Stone Stand though. Or pardon.
Raven Rock.
Yeah.
You can teleport
Damn.
to. You can say aloud, the Cloth and Vale as your destination, and since you haven't been there, there is a little bit of a risk to it. You could always ask Safine or somebody for a more direct ride, if that's something that you would be interested in. While you stew on that, Devos, you feel a hand on your shoulder, and you turn to see your father. here
Oh,
as a
shit.
representative of the Order of the Aster.
Oh, shit.
And
Classic.
he's just sort of marveling at you. You know, when you walked in, he didn't exactly have a chance to talk to you, but he's just like, well, what's all this then? And he sort of gestures vaguely to your wings.
Puberty?
He goes, God, wow. You know, I thought I was a late bloomer. Jesus. Okay. Well, Vander, okay.
Kind of did a thing. Saved, would he know? Who was that? Seraphim? Seraphia?
Wouldn't know her directly, no. But knows of planars and solars and the like.
Yeah, I would explain what happened. And she gave me these wings.
He almost like cocks an eyebrow skeptically, like, an angel gave you their wings. Okay, yeah, sure, yeah. But I think Integrity, who's with him, is another member of the Order of the Aster, will speak up and go, no, the Dawnbringer fought quite valiantly. He dealt a devastating blow to enmity, freed myself and Sarathana from the prison in Avernus, restored her vision, and got us both out alive. And then he destroyed an object of profound evil. He's truly proven himself worthy of the title. Arambor, kind of stunned, and goes, "Wait, you went to Avernus?"
Yes. It was Goldbrand's idea.
Arambor will sort of cock an eye to Goldbrand, like, God, of course the Uthgard's sending you charging into hell. And there's like a shift in his demeanor where he's almost reluctant to talk about it. Something that, as far as he knows, you don't know, but his own ties to Avernus. He doesn't say, he was almost at a loss for words.
Found quite a few interesting things down there.
Oh?
Some historical. What's the word? I was gonna say antiques, like a historical marker. Can't think of the word.
Like a monument?
Like when you go in to visit. Yeah, maybe. Some monuments.
Oh, he says.
Decided. Maybe we just need to have a talk later, Dad.
Well,
More privately.
he goes, you know, it sounds like you've stumbled onto a little more than I would like for you to have. How did you find this? What just, I need to know. What do you know?
Your soul was trapped in Avernus, essentially.
Excuse me?
Or not trapped. You made a bad deal, didn't follow through.
He Erenbor turns to you on like, you made a bad deal?
No, you, Dad.
What do you mean?
When you betrayed, was it enmity?
Zariel.
Zariel.
He stiffens up quite a bit. He goes, oh, okay. Yeah, we did flee Avernus, trying to get away with our livelihood, but I've never been ashamed of that. I would never change it. You know, I wasn't running away from the fight. I was running to your mother, to you. I couldn't leave your mother
Get it.
to.
I'm not judging.
He goes, well, I'm glad to hear that at least. But how did you find this out exactly? You said
When we were in Avernus, kind of just ran across these trees with different names on them and saw yours.
and he sort of putting it together in his head, and he goes, it's almost as if he doesn't realize that betraying Zariel had this cost. He knows what he did, but he does not seem to know the consequences that were to come of it. What? So the trees had names on them. What about it?
Apparently, there was a tree designated for each person, and I even saw. Shit, I'm drawing a blank.
Amorous? Amorous?
Amorous.
Amorous, yeah.
Yes. Amorous was there, suffering. And I didn't want to see you have that same fate, so I did what I could to remove your debt.
Oh, Davos, you did what you had to remove my debt. Devils are not known for cutting fair deals. What did you do?
Made a deal.
With?
Shit.
Bale.
With
Enmity?
shit?
Bale.
Not with
Bale.
enmity.
I couldn't remember if it was Bale. Yeah,
No,
Bale.
you're good.
Yeah. In exchange for a cool sword and your soul.
The sword is
I,
always how they get you. Yeah. So wait, you bartered with him for my soul, and you didn't put your Davos. You didn't. I can, if I have to face my sins and the punishment as a result of that, I can do that if I must. But I can't allow you to shoulder that burden for me.
Well, I mean, it seemed easy. It was just go kill enmity, me and my friends. We've been bowling through enemies pretty easily, so I was like, we could do this. So it wasn't even like a real wager in my mind. It was just like, go do what y'all always have done. But this dude's stacked.
No, and Bell no doubt knew this. Enmity, as one of the generals of Hell, is quite powerful, and if what you all say about him being a worm speaker is true, then that's made him stronger still. If he's got both fiendish allies and Tiamat, I mean, that's quite a tough target. But you're still here, which is good. That means that, despite the fight not going exactly as we would have hoped, that you haven't been snatched away. So Bell is not claiming that failure as the end of your deal. There's still room to get out of this, I think. And his tone is almost like he's trying to convince himself more than convince you.
Right.
His guilt's pretty evident. He feels pretty shitty for this. He says, listen, devils are cunning and sly, and it's dangerous to be in their debt, but I know who you are, and I know what you're capable of. You'll get him the next time around. I'm certain of it. We'll make certain of it.
Yeah.
Goes,
We have to.
He goes, nice wings. Fly responsibly. No more than a few Eric Coker to get drunk and
Yeah. Keep that in mind. No drink and fly.
gives you a hearty pat on the pauldron and sort of nods his head as he goes over with some of the Order of the Aster and begins to make preparations. Seems like everyone seems to be primarily concerned with getting their troops to the well as soon as possible. You see that Safine is talking to people, trying to make arrangements for gates to be set up where the people who are furthest away can get there quicker. They're trying to come up with a strategy to mobilize all of these troops. And the energy is buzzing. It seems as if everyone is trying to treat this as with the utmost urgency, that if they do not get there soon, there may not be an opportunity to even stop what's happening. I think Safine will perhaps gather you up, and with the rest of the with the rest of the gemstone dragons in their various guises, she'll say, in fact, before she starts speaking, she'll give a little wave of her hand, and everything beyond your immediate radius sounds like it's underwater. And it goes just a little out of focus. It seems something similar that she did in the Flagon Dragon to prevent you all from being overheard. She'll say, well, thank you, boys, for getting all of that intel together. Want to know what they need for the ritual, so we can try our best to sabotage it. I also appreciate your discretion with our identities. There are more than a few dragons in disguise here today, and hopefully by the end of all this, we'll have them on board with our counterattack. Speaking of, I'm not sure if you've met yet, and she'll gesture over to, you guys of course already know Felgalus, the once bronze dragonborn, now the topaz dragon. Nissa, the white dragonborn who was a member of the Westwind Wyvern crew and is now the crystal dragon. And you met last session Valafiandra, or Valerie, as she goes by in this particular state, the patron dragon of Pandora, and she introduces you to a man she introduces as Brunar. And you see a tan human with long black hair. And Goldbrand, with your passive perception, you pick up that he has tattoos. And not just any tattoos. These are Uthgard tattoos.
Does Goldbrand recognize the tribe?
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
He does not. In fact, roll a history check.
A history
Yeah,
check. Oh, looks like
Let's call it history.
You know Goldbrand ain't no good at history. He didn't pay no attention.
Oh,
That dude's
very
Dragon
much.
Clan.
It's funny.
Is he like Jake?
You
the
know,
American
you've
Dragon?
heard.
Sorry.
You. They almost look familiar. But you can't quite place them. Yeah, with the one, I'm afraid I'm not gonna be able to give you any information on that. You could certainly ask.
I was trying to think of a flavorful way that Uthgard would like challenge other Uthgard to like identify themselves. Goldbrand's old, doesn't like to shout anymore, so he will. I was gonna say toddle over there, which may be appropriate for his old age. We'll say he's standing with the dragons. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it's like Safine and the other 4 gemstone dragons
Okay.
have sort of come to
Okay.
discuss some things in private.
Hail, Uthgard. I don't recognize your markings. Where does your tribe travel?
He will say, I'm afraid that I am not truly of any of the Uthgard tribe. But long ago I was battle bonded to many. It has been a long time since I've used this guise. It is uncomfortable at best. I prefer my true natures, if I'm to be honest. But there was a time before we gemstone dragons went into hiding that we did assist where needed to maintain balance and orders. And I fought alongside Uthgar many, many centuries ago. He was a fine man, truly a good leader that was worthy of the divinities he was given.
If you sees him again, give him some good kicks in the ass for me, please.
Sames. He left this big mess behind with all of his kids fighting all the time, and I don't understand it. I mean, I go underground for a centuries or two, and then I come back up, and it's all, Oh, this tribe said that, and this tribe did this. Children's.
We've mostly cleaned that up. Most.
He goes, he looks over at the gathered Uthgard who are talking with Chief Revna, and he goes, it would seem so. And from what the blue ones tells me, he wouldn't call her that, but from what Safine's tells me, that is largely due to your leaderships.
I'm not the chiefs.
Not all leaders are chiefs, my friend.
Well,
Not all chiefs are leaders.
preach. They have the good
Well,
chiefs to lead them through hard times. They have a good one now to lead them out of the hard times.
Let us hope. About this time, the building rattles as another deep, bassy boom echoes throughout the entire chamber, and everyone clutches their head. I want two people to roll a perception check for me.
I think that's going to be Davos and Pandora.
Pandora will roll at disadvantage.
What?
Oh,
You'll see.
That sounds like fiat bullshit.
what was it? Perception?
Still very high. Davos, will you lower percent? Natural 20. Very solid. First,
We
Pandora.
don't still have exhaustion, do we?
No, y'all have rested since, so you should be good. You are all. By the way, hit that long rest button if you have not
Oh,
already.
shit. And then like and subscribe.
And then like and subscribe.
Oh, now this is not. I just want to clarify real fast. We have not long rested since we regenerated our limbs and did the reincarnate
Correct.
thing. Okay.
Correct. Yes. I was saying specifically to Davos, we have rested since he was here last. As this deep and bassy boom echoes throughout the chambers, the very window is like rattling. Barbara, you experienced this horn before at the at Hellgate Keep, but this is so much worse. Like, it's piercing in a way mentally that it causes it. You almost feel like you're about to have an aneurysm. Like, it is an intense, deep pain, and it has sort of a tug on you. And you gather the reason that it's affecting you so much more is because of your quasi-draconic state. Now, what Davos notices is that all the Dragonborn in the room react strongly. The 5 gemstone dragons in disguise react strongly. You also notice 2 other individuals. These 2 over here, Chancellor Arasume and High Mage Terran, both of which react strongly. And on a natural 20, you very much pick up that they appear to also be draconic entities in disguise. This is deeply uncomfortable for any of you with draconic blood. And as it echoes through everyone, there's this beat of tension as they wait for a dragon to burst through the window or for something to burrow up through the floor of the chamber. But nothing happens. I think it's Bogelis who will speak up and he'll say, "That damned horn. Thing is the Drac horn. It's an item crafted from a horn of one of the first dragons, used to summon the chromatics to Tiamat's aid. Dragons, wyverns, drakes, dragonborn hydras, all sorts of draconic forces will flock to the well and fight for their queen. This is a bad omen. If she's casting it, if they're using it more than once in a day, they are mounting their forces very quickly." I think Valafiandra will say, "It's true. The egg has been quite active the last few weeks, shifting and moving for the first time in 7 years we've had it. And that first time they blew it, the egg hatched." Brunar will say, "The obsidian wormslings is fascinating. Truly, it's one of a kind. And it has already demonstrated magical capabilities, which is unheard of for a hatchling." Zephine. While we're not certain if this is a side effect of it being crafted from the Nightstone, perhaps it maintains some essence of that arcana, or it could be some lingering spark of Sardior left behind when he crafted it. Or worse still, could even be a bit of Donovan lingering behind.
Ooh.
But maybe magic is just more innate for obsidian dragon. Each species of the gemstone dragons is unique, and the traits that this one possesses are entirely unknown. Nissa will add, regardless of the reason behind its magical potentials, its reaction to the horn is cause for concern. He is formed from the remnants of Alglodix, after all, which means there could be some essence of Black Dragon within him. He has no reason, of course, to show the Dragon Queen any loyalty, but being so young, he could certainly be persuaded, guided, and misguided. And with the worm speakers and their masks, we've had to be extra cautious. He's been sealed away for the time being, carefully tucked away in a pocket dimension, and he'll stay there until we've dealt with the cult of the dragon. There's sort of this tense exchange of glances as they grow increasingly concerned with the effects this horn might have on him. Zephine will say, in fact, we've tossed around the idea that it might not be a bad idea to get one of you worm speakers to try to guide him in the right direction. I'm just, we haven't really agreed on if this is a good idea yet or not. And,
no one has any other objections, I'd say Arcanox would definitely offer.
You offer your guidance, as it were. Brunar will say, I do not think this is the right choice. The Obsidian Dragons is to be his own, but for us to influence him, even on the side that we believe to be just, would not be fair to balance. Nissa will say, regardless of the nature of balance, he is a wormling. He needs to be properly guided, and this horn is doing the exact opposite. It is drawing him to something darker. And they sort of bicker a bit amongst themselves. You gather that they're not confident. It seems almost as if they want to come to a consensus before they do anything drastic. And for now, they're fine to sit on him, as it were.
Cowards.
Now they were good.
Can the horn be destroyed?
Potentially. It is a rather ancient artifact. It would require exceptional magic to dispel it and rend it asunder, but it is not unheard of. Easier to destroy that than the masks, for example.
This is kind of above the table, but Devin's first thought is, we take you on over there, we let him meteor swarm it, and then we win walk away. just blast, and run. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. No, that's kind of above table. I'm sort of suspicious that wouldn't work, but it sounds fun. Just bombard and run.
You can certainly try.
Your certainly tries don't scare me.
They should. They very much should.
I'm gonna open
He does not speak for all of us.
I'm gonna open a Denny plant on a flat surface under his feet and then close it when he falls in with a horn. Bye bye.
Well, I'm sure it's massive.
Well, it's a wormling right now. Because it literally just hatched.
I'm talking about
yesterday.
the horn. Like, I bet the horn's huge.
It's probably pretty big, yeah. It ain't no fucking little drinking horn on your belt kind of thing, no.
Oh.
Same bigger horns.
In fact, I think that I don't think that any of them have ever seen it. I'll tell you above table. It requires 3 creatures to use. I think 3 large or larger creatures to use because it is so massive. I think
Sorry, I'm
at
trying to
the
fix my mic. Ballistas require 3 people to use, and they're not massive.
what requires 3 ballistas.
Ballistas.
I think that's more of like a load, aim, fire kind of situation, as opposed to 2 people have to hold it while a third one blows it.
I know, I'm just being pedantic.
Yeah, it always is nice when 2 people are holding it and the third one's blowing it. It just makes you feel, well loved.
Red line.
That's not red line. That's perfectly PG. No, RPG anyway. I think Safine will add. Arcanauts. It's not that we don't trust you, of course, but I'm a little concerned that the chromatic dragon masks might have an adverse effect. They're typically used for persuading chromatic dragons of their particular color, and we're not quite sure if that will guide him to be more feral in nature, as many of the chromatic dragons are. We just need some... One more time?
Chromatic dragon mask, you say?
That's what you have, right?
Whatever.
You know,
the dragon masks are all chromatic.
Does that imply that there are metallic dragon mask? I could not remember the word.
I think it's probably Felgalus, actually. He'll go, no. You see, the dragon masks, they were made specifically. I'm splitting my accents. The dragon masks were made specifically for Tiamat's ritual. It's something that she created. A god-made artifact that is ancient. Ancient as they've been around almost as long as she's been trapped in the Hells. There are no metallic or other masks to speak of. And Safine perhaps will cock her head and be like, I suppose that doesn't necessarily have to be the case, though. The masks were created by a god. That makes them incredibly powerful. I don't think that Bahamut or even Sardior could replicate that in their current states outside of this plane. But and Nissa will kind of cock an eyebrow to her, and Safine will say, if we could amass enough power to truly warp reality on a grand scale, well, crazier things have happened. I think Felgalus will go like, you're not considering trying to create the godlike artifact just yourself, are you? You would be destroyed. She goes, not by myself. If we could get a few powerful casters, just a few people who can cast Wish, try to cooperate. Creating 5 masks might be too much for an individual, but if 5 people were to work together, and you see her almost like running through the arcane math in her head. She goes, the worst case scenario, we just, would lose the capability to use that spell, but considering the price of all of this going south, that might not be a bad idea.
Why you need to make 5? You just need 1 to tame the wormlings.
It's all in all things. In all things, there must be balance. 1 mask would possess the power to, if we made a single gemstone mask, for example, the power to manipulate gemstone dragons would be quite exceptional in it. But a balanced set creates with it a magical codependency of a sort.
You can only influence one type of at a time.
And we would be making masks that are not... I don't think we could make an obsidian mask. They sort of look at each other, and Nissa would shrug and say, I don't even know if we could do the one. I mean, it's a shot in the dark at best. But desperate times. I think that I've forgotten his name now. Pardon me. Brunar would say, it's not a bad options. I would feel better knowing that what we are using to influence the young thing will be of its own kind. And they seem to think that it is not impossible to make gemstone dragon math. Getting 5 powerful casters who can use that spell, Wish specifically, might be a little trickier.
You have one.
And Nista and Safine will both raise a hand. 2 and 3. I think she'll think for a moment, trying to think of anyone else who can be capable of this.
Well, we just
I feel like Davos zoned out.
Devious
He
red
sees
bastard
everyone
in the
raising
middle.
their hand, so Davos would raise his hand.
Belgalis, Safine will look at you and she'll be kind of surprised, and then her eyes will glow blue, and she will look you up and down. Well,
Safine, I already told you I'm off limits.
Helena said that was up for discussion. But no, there's something within you. You raised your hand in jest, but you are blessed in a way. And I don't just mean by Lavender. And I think that Davos would recall that on his wedding day, the Summer Queen came into this realm, as it was on the summer solstice, and as sort of an apology for interrupting your very special ceremony to destroy the Ring of Winter, she offered a wish to you and Helena. And this is still a bit of magical potential that is lingering within you. I have been waiting for Davos to say "I wish" in any joking context for 6 months. Just because they're like, oh yeah, man, I really fucking hate this. I wish we could get there. Boom, you're there. Like, but nope. There is a bit of magical potential within you, which brings you up to 4. You would only need one more individual capable of this spell to attempt this ritual, as it were. You're gonna meet my guy?
I was trying to remember if any of the former lords were a class that can do that sort of thing, and I don't think they are. Devin's brain is working hard.
No.
I
Rogue
don't know
slash
about
warlock.
I don't know about Sephiros. I don't know his abilities.
Safine would answer that if Goldbrand is using this out loud. Zephyros is a powerful caster. She would say, well, he could have cast this before the ordning was restructured. Now cloud giants are not quite capable of the magic that they used to be.
But that does raise
Heckerton?
a point about who is.
I was about to say the Harshnag's people are second on the ordning, and that's what the cloud giants used to be. I actually see someone on the map that I'm suspicious could be, but Goldbrand does not know this person.
Who is the person you does?
It's Orin.
Orin is not quite on y'all's level, but
Sad.
he's pretty capable.
It says high mage. I just assumed.
He is a high dwarven mage. In the regards that like a high mage of a city, not like high mage over all dwarves.
I got you. It's more like a rank than a.
We couldn't just ask out loud.
No.
Which one of you fuckers has wish?
Yeah, which one of you here can bend reality?
Your speech is muffled within the dome, so no one hears you. And Safine goes, I wouldn't want to put this out to everyone. I trust everyone within this chamber, more or less, but I'm more worried about being overheard. If you catch my drift.
I'm still looking at people on the map.
You scrying eyes. Perceive
She'll-
the lies.
She'll look around. And you know what? Funnily enough, I think I think Tabitha would approach seeing this little huddle, not even realizing that there's some top secret conversation going on. And Safine, of course, knows she knows their secret already, so she allows her in. I feel like immediately she's like, Tabby, how are you doing since you got your arm back? You feeling like you could pull some big swings? And the long and the short of it is that Tabitha cannot cast Wish. She's not quite at that point. But with a bit of reluctance, she says, I know someone who could, but the price is a little steep. And she will share that her friend Morningstar, the tiefling that you saved from hell, has been known to provide wishes in exchange for souls. She says, it's sort of his thing. I don't understand the full nature of it, but he has persuaded a few people in our travels to sign his book and get their heart's desire. I have a feeling it
I don't know
cost
if I
them...
can go along with that.
One more time?
I don't know if I can go along with that.
Who are you kidding? You already don't have a soul.
I have a soul. It's just
It's betrayed to the
tarnished.
underworld.
For now.
Yeah, but see, if your soul isn't accounted for per se, does that mean that you can kind of like cheat the system?
Double deal it. Let them
She
fight
goes,
over who gets it.
It's not a legally binding document if it's not your actual soul, but will it still work?
I think Tabitha would say, based off of what you guys have told her of what happened in hell, well, Belle was able to override Zariel's claim to your soul because he was technically the ruler of hell when the transgression occurred. That put him, when your father, when his soul was claimed by Zariel, Belle was technically the ruler of that plane. Someone else claiming it over Belle would be rather difficult. I don't think that's something that anyone less than a lord of one of the hells could accomplish. Now, if someone else wanted to offer up their soul,
Pipe up, and he's like, "Well, it would depend on what I'm getting in return." I figured the price of a soul comes with a pretty hefty reward.
She goes,
Oh, bitch.
we could bring him into the fold. I do trust Morningstar. He's made some questionable choices, certainly, but I mean, we all have. And she tries very hard not to look at you on, but there's...
I know, and I kind of elbow her, and I'm like, yeah, I know. Davos, what were you thinking down there? It's crazy.
She goes, regardless, he knows how to keep a secret. I wouldn't, I think he's one we could trust to attempt it. As to answer what you would get out of it, Arcanox, if this is successful, we might be able to craft exceptionally powerful artifact. If we can get retconning a little bit to where you guys fill Tabitha in or what you're talking about, if you could get a suite of dragon masks, as it were, that would be an exceptional boost in power. I mean, you've seen what just one mask can do and the abilities it grants. If you can get 5, she shrugs. I'm not saying a soul is worth, it's hard to wager the price of one soul versus all of humanity.
Yeah, but it's forever. There's no getting it back. At least with mine, there was that chance.
She shrugs and goes, I didn't say it was a good option, but finding people who are capable of that tier of magic is going to be difficult. And I don't think we have a whole lot of time to turn every stone, as it were.
With everything Arcanox has been through in this last however long we've been doing this, everything he's learned from Sardior being the paladin of neutrality, so to speak, Arcanox would say that if we are successful in the crafting of a gemstone mask, if they allow him to be the ruby worm speaker, he would offer himself to make it happen in order to stop Tiamat. If it's one for the mini, yeah, give the one.
The gemstone dragons kind of look over each other, and you can probably tell, to varying degrees, some of them are uncomfortable with the idea of losing their champion's soul. But again, you're wagering a soul versus potentially the fate of every single living organism on this plane.
I nominate Mr. Boots. I think he has 9 of them.
Absolutely not. That is my man.
Does you two have a soul?
If we can speak candidly,
No.
this isn't very different than what Sardior did last time the world was at stake.
Yeah, Sardior did give himself to, create the Nightstone and put an end to the Dragon Giant War. No, very true, very true. She goes, I think Saphine will say, well, boys, if we're willing to take a stab at it, she goes, the risk is high, but the reward could be worth it. If all of you agree, we can try to take this somewhere a little more private.
To the demi-plane.
Inside of an orb? Or like...
Oh, I lost the first part of that. I'm sorry.
It's like we're going to do like an orb inside of an orb? Or like...
Kind of.
private?
You guys will flag Morningstar, who is very happily living his life back on the surface. He didn't come to the meeting with you. He stayed at the Flagon Dragon and has been enjoying himself, having actual food, and drink for the first time in what could very well be years, apparently. And as you guys wander in, in fact, I like to think it's the 5 of you plus the 5 gemstone dragons. And even without, detecting magic, you can tell they're packing some pretty powerful mojo. It'll go, well, what the fuck have I got myself into to warrant such dignified company?
10 demigods show up at the bar to come find you.
Come to bargain.
Like, one of my favorite words. I see you have considered taking me up on my offer. I think he pulls out his book and turns through several pages that have been filled out in Infernal and signed at the bottom in blood before he turns to a blank one and he goes, so what will it be? Fame? Glory? Catgirl girlfriends? And then he'll look over to Pandora and you might already have that one covered.
Yeah, that one's well taken care of.
Do you extract your price immediately?
Well, I allow them a bit of time to enjoy their spoils, but I would be lying if I said that they live quite as long as they would before. Between you and me, I take a little off the top. I might not look it, but I'm quite a few centuries old myself. But for everyone I get to sign, I get a few more years here and there, and, keeps me young.
Seems like you've found a loophole in your own contract, so to speak.
Of course, until I die, I am free to do as I wish. When I do, and get dragged down south, it's a little harder to get out than I'd like it to be, but hey, you can just come get me the next time, right?
What happens to the souls of the living if you die?
What do you mean, the souls who made agreements with them?
Yeah.
Oh, they're not bound to me specifically. More like the source of my magic sort of gets to claim them when their time comes.
I tried, Ark.
Make the deal, kill Morningstar immediately.
Goldbrand was
Not
also
immediately.
thinking it. Yeah.
I'd leave him a few years to, enjoy the spoils, but
Goldbrand had also been wondering,
That's
looking
the
at his
full
axe.
paladin, I will give you the justice you're saying you give to others, Love that. What was it?
Orcs.
And some
I was laughing because I was imagining Goldbrand looking at his axe like, could we just kill him afterwards? Orcs, can I speak with you for a moment?
what's on your mind?
He didn't have to go out of earshot of everybody, but he does go far enough away from Morningstar. I understand if this is something you feel like you need to do, but your ship can be rebuilt. Skullport can be rebuilt. You have quite a few more years on this earth, and I have very few. I would be willing to do these things, but it is your choice.
One, sure, everything can be rebuilt, but if Tiamat returns, it's rebuilt on a foundation of sand. There's no reason to rebuild. And while I appreciate the offer, your spirit belongs with Uthgard. I think we should leave a dragon to a draconic fate.
Uthgarth might be willing to fight for it when that time comes. Allowing me to take your place could ensure you are here to stop Tiamat. I don't know how long you will have afterwards, but I will respect your wishes if this is something you want to do.
So nod, and he'll say that he'll keep that in mind. Like the gears start turning a little bit, like you've almost given him a little bit of an idea.
I like to. What immediately came to mind was at the end of Disney's Hercules, where Hades has just been offered Hercules' soul to let him try to go win Meg's soul back, and he's like, "Is there a downside to this? You know, like somebody else loses their soul, I get to keep the soul I already had." Like,
From Goldbrand's perspective, he doesn't get as much off the top. There's not as much to take from Goldbrand. Your life wouldn't be shortened. You know,
I would want you to keep in mind that this is a deal with a devil, which is something that the Uthgard are very wary against, and for good reason. But you know, someone's got to pay the price. Someone's got to pay. Who it is doesn't matter much to Morningstar.
Yeah.
Goldbrand has a lot less to live for.
With that in mind, though,
100%.
I think Arcanauts will talk to Morningstar about this. He'll kind of go back over. He'll kind of go back over, and with everything that we've experienced in Avernus, and all the other devils' attitude towards Tiamat and her place in Avernus, and where she is specifically, they kind of want her there, sealed up, right? They don't really want her getting out.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. There are some devils, like Zariel specifically wants to be done with her, because right now it takes a large amount of manpower to keep her in check. So if Tiamat were to be taken anywhere else, she would be able to focus fully on the demonic front and hopefully take the fight to the devils, or to the demons. That's sort of ultimately her goal. There are devils, like Belle, for example, who want her to stay there, mostly because it'll make her look bad. Where Asmodeus falls on this, I think not even Morningstar would know for sure. Asmodeus is notoriously well guarded in his motivations and desires.
So I'm saying that, like, oh, because if Asmodeus is more okay with, or more wanting Tiamat in Avernus with Zariel, I'd be like, I think finding a way to keep her there, kind of sweeten the pot a little bit.
He shrugs a bit and says, could be. I don't know how much bearing it will have on, to him, the soul is the only cost that he needs up front. He's not exactly known for, providing discounts, as it were. I don't know if he will be more generous. It's not exactly in his nature.
Well, because my plan, a little bit above the table here, is not like so much as to get out of the payment, but to kind of influence Asmodeus as to much how to spend it, so to speak. Because I'm gonna say, like, Arcanauts will kind of float it to Morningstar. He's just like, so whatever happens to the damn souls, that whatever. But what if one of the souls was used to bind Tiamat in a kind of way.
I think he would say, well, in theory, not a bad idea. I don't know if any particular soul as an individual could bind a god in that way. I mean, Tiamat is the mother of all dragons, one of the oldest entities in the multiverse. I don't know if even Asmodeus could bind her in that particular way. He shrugs, says, might be worth a shot, but I don't know if you'd exactly get what you wanted out of the deal. In that regard, though, I should tell you that I do owe you all for getting me out of hell, and I would make sure that you didn't have to pay your price in an untimely way. You know, I've got enough years to live on quite a while yet, and I've got plenty of time to get some other poor bastard to sign my book. I would even say I won't take a single year from you. You'll get to live your life as it was, and when you're gone, you go to Asmodeus. What he does with you, I'm afraid, is up to him. And you'll find he's not one to bargain.
Wow. Because I was going to say, Archnox would kind of do the thing where the ritual goes out the way it needs to. Everything happens right. But when Archnox does die and goes to Avernus, he's thinking just he has to go as a Dragonborn. Maybe part of his wish is that when he dies and gets sent to Avernus, he goes as not so much as the full aspect of Sardior, but just a lesser ruby dragon itself. Figured if I'm going to go to hell, draconic form would make it a little bit more enjoyable.
Morningstar will sort of nod his head. He goes, there's a bit of a risk associated with all of this. We're not necessarily guaranteed anything. But if things were to go exceptionally well, that might be a possibility. I don't think I could guarantee it, though.
In accordance to the Oath of Vengeance I've taken with Sardior, my sworn enemy is the Draconic God herself. So, I don't know, just nothing would be more fitting just to be locked in endless combat.
He goes, that is tempting. Like I said, no one really knows what the big guy wants. But having an aspect of the Ruby Dragon trapped eternally in his lair with the aspect of the Mother of Dragons, well, if he could have Bahamut and have the whole set, I'm sure he'd actually crack a smile for once. I'll see what we can do. But, again, that's a tall order. Making the mask alone is going to be pushing the boundaries of what I'm capable of with this anyway.
Nonsense, Morningstar. You can do anything, buddy.
For a price, my friend. For a price. I think Safine will pop up and sort of give you all the look and says, well, if we're going to do something stupid, now's the time to do it. Are we going upstairs?
Well,
She sees you waggling your eyebrows and goes, I mean, there is a bed in the demi-plane, but, we don't have to use it. I'd have to make it quite a bit bigger for this many people, to be honest.
Looks around. I don't know why this is struggling. Gobrand looks around for Bergen since he mentioned a tincture earlier.
Yeah.
Frantically looking
Oh,
around.
yeah, by the way, Davos. Bergen told everyone Davos gets a blue tincture from Bergen once a month. There's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Jeez.
It was because Devin made
Oh.
a joke about Goldbrand's stick not working, so
Not the first one either. I just assumed it has.
I would have made the joke.
Until
at you
y'all
extent.
had to deal with a celestial, I don't want to hear it.
Mm. Oh wow.
The
America.
endurance is insane.
The spirit is
Not being
willing, but the
also-
flesh is spongy and bruised.
Bruised.
I am definitely down to go upstairs and try to craft godlike artifacts, but I have to pee.
Yeah, why don't we take a break? We'll come back in about 10 minutes and we'll see what mischief we can get into. Thank you very much for joining us for the first half. We'll be back in just a few. And we're back. As we return, the Lords of Nightstone, along with the 5 gemstone dragons, all walk upstairs to the Dragon Flagons' 3rd floor, where at the end of the hallway, Saphine takes off a blue gemstone from her cloak and uses it to draw a door frame. After you all follow her inside, you find the room that you had been to previously with her. Very large, very spacious, very luxurious, for lack of a better word. And it seems as if when she created this time, she cleared some extra space. So it's a little larger than it was last time.
That's not it.
No, that's just.
Oh, you sent me this one?
I sent you that one. I don't know who I'm hearing to, but as you all gather inside, with Morningstar, of course, I think that there is a bit of tension, as they want to be absolutely sure that whoever is going to be making the deal with Morningstar is good for it, is, going to sign off on it. I think even as a warning, Saphine might say, now I think it's, we're going to try to do this, but this is not a guarantee. And using a spell, even one as powerful as Wish, to create something like this comes with its own risks. The chance that you won't be able to cast the spell again is higher than normal. If everyone's okay with that, and everyone is okay with the prices we must pay, I think we're good to go. And she
Hey,
will...
quick question. What? So I can't cast it again, but I was the only one that could ever cast it again. That one over there with the wings has the lowest cost because he was just given a free wish by something. What a jerk, always getting favored by everybody. At least this one has to give up a soul.
Yeah. Back in my day, to get reality-altering wishes, we had to give something of value.
Your simulacrum doesn't have a 9th level spell slot, does it?
I mean,
Nope.
No,
of
Had to
course,
burn it to make him.
Yuan thinks little of the value of souls. He's had 6 of them.
He carries that mini, doesn't he? Like, around with him.
Yeah.
Yet none of them belong to me.
I'm just
Frightfully
renting. In this economy, I don't know any of these.
Well, possession's 9/10, Yuan.
Ooh, gotcha there.
So that wasn't Arcanox, that was Morningstar. That was
Oh, there you go.
soul economics for you.
I like the way he thinks.
I could totally see Morningstar buying off some of your extra souls.
Yeah, like 70 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, exactly. I think that if Arcanox, if you give the okay, as it were, to Morningstar, I think we'll get started with this.
Let me just say, man, if you're gonna dance with the devil, you might as well lead, you know?
He'll go, don't worry, you'll get a better, I'll cut you a better deal than most. That said, my price is due whether this works or not. But again, I'm not rushing you on payment, just when you're not using it anymore, you know?
Sounds good to me. Let's get this ball rolling.
Morningstar will hold out his hand to you, and if you so choose to shake it, once again, the brand that you had received previously disappeared when you brought him back into this ring, as the contract had been fulfilled. This one is a great deal larger, because it is not a simple bargain of get me out and I will assist you. This is a soul-binding contract. And as such, you see several of the red scales along Ark's forearm, many of which are streaked white with the influence of the Wormspeaker mask. You do see as many of them blacken and not shift, but almost grow a little sharper as this contract sets in. As the 5 of you gather around, the gemstone dragons come to your side. Amethyst, of course, goes to Pandora and places a hand on her shoulder. You two, of course, have been bonded from the very start. Safine will wander over to Yuan and give you a nod of the head. Both of you so deeply steeped in magical energies. And, I meant to look this up. Devin, do you know the other type of Uthgard? Is it Ragged? Is that right?
Sounds correct. It's very close.
The Northern Barbarians? She gives you a
yeah.
wink, and Safine will give you a wink and goes, well, we are sort of, Ragged brothers, if you catch my meaning. And I'll not elaborate any more on this stupid joke I thought of on the drive the other day. I think that Felgalis will go to you, Davos, and goes, we're both dashing, lucky, and daring. I can do my best to help you all out.
Yeah, your colors match my wings.
He goes, yeah, we're just so damn lucky, we get things done. Most of the time. I think Emeralds, that is to say Verdes Ellen / Brunar, pardon me, will stand over by Goldbrand and nod his head and say, this is risky businesses, but I believe Uthgar will understand that some things are worth the risk. Lastly, I think that Nissa will go to Ark and say, as Sardior's High Priestess, see it only fitting that I try to channel him as best I can, release his influence. And she will start. Blessed Sardior, we beseech you in this hour of need. We stand at the precipice of irreversible change. Change that, if enacted, would sunder the balance of this realm. I call upon you. As your High Priestess, make me the prism through which your light shines. Aid your champion, the indomitable Arcanox. Make him the conduit through which your strength and power flow. Imbibe him with the resilience and might to stand against her most treacherous of champions, the wicked worm speakers. We, the resplendent children of the Ruby, offer up our strength. Draw from us the aspect of you within us all, and grant us the tools to crown your new champion, the first Ruby Worm Speaker. And as Nissa and Safine and Davos and Yuan and Morningstar all collectively draw on this incredibly powerful magic, I need all 5 of you to roll me a percentile die. A percentile being a D100.
Yeah. I'm gonna roll it directly to you.
Mystery.
I just realized you're talking to every one of us and not because some of those guys are
Yeah.
NPCs. Whoops.
For some reason, I could still see it says to the DM, but I could still see it.
Yeah.
No
that's a
secrets here, friend.
I
I don't
included
know
in
if
that
it's
roll, or
because-
am I not?
If he's given us like permissions or something because of all the characters we can pull from the map. I don't know.
More of the 5 of you are representing the 5 people casting Wish, even if it's not you directly. I see 3. I think I still need a Pandora and an Argonaut.
Okay.
All of a sudden,
Well, there we
Davos'
got the,
back starts hurting from carrying this squad.
I think all of you feel as the energies between you all, you're in a liminal space of sorts within a demiplane, and everything around you shifts a bit and becomes a little wiggly. It's as if physics itself is not behaving right within this space. This is
wobbly tiny one.
This is monumental magical energy attempting to recreate the the godlike power that went into creating 5 godlike artifacts. And I think that few of you, Pandora in particular, I'll start with you.
Oh boy.
You feel as this energy courses through you that it is not enough. And I think that would occur to you because you're wearing one. You are trying to create a dragon mask. And if you can utilize the arcane potential that went into creating the green mask, that might give you a boost, as it were. Devin is correct. If you destroy the mask that you're currently wearing, you can imbue some of that energy into the ritual and hopefully push yourself up to a passing point.
Foil.
Whale
I mean,
Token. A 1/1 dragon mask token. It's clear. I don't know. I guess
mean,
we
I
can
guess
sack
it's-
artifacts. I don't know.
Do you choose to destroy the mask to potentially be successful, or do you hold on to it because you have one and losing it would be losing it without gaining anything in return would be quite unfortunate.
it would really fucking suck. Sorry, I'm looking at my dragon mask, the description, trying to decide.
I'll say while this is happening, Arcanox, you, through both Morningstar and Nissa, feel the channeling of this energy and the sparking of your own soul, as it were. And you feel like your personal process is going very well, but the ritual is not balanced. It's as if there were 5 points in the room, and some of them are raising up to meet this new height, and you feel as if there are pits in certain areas. You get the same sensation that if you destroy the white worm speaker mask, you could improve the odds across the table, as it were. Do you risk what you have to hopefully get something just as good, if not better?
I feel like I would be the better one out of this lot to give up my mask, honestly.
The impression I got was that we would need both of y'all.
I didn't
That
say
bad.
that specifically. It's more like there's a DC that all of you have to hit. And I am, how do I phrase it? Destroying the mask gives you a huge boost to that, to what you roll, but it is not necessarily a guarantee.
I feel like Pandora would grumble and willingly give hers up for the cause.
I think it's worth noting
Pandora.
too that you are potentially preventing Tiamat from using it. You're taking
Yeah,
a
I mean,
very
destroying it,
powerful
yeah.
piece of her power and getting rid of it.
Arcanox, how do you feel on this? Pandora has said she will give hers up for the good of the cause. Where do you fall on that?
You're on mute, my friend.
First my soul, now then my mask. Same shit, different day.
What you thinking, Ben?
I was muted. Ooh. Anyway, but yeah, I'm on the same train of thought.
Okay.
Like, if I don't really need, I'm not really gonna need 2 masks. You know what I mean?
Very fair point.
Plus, also, like, if worst case scenario it doesn't work and we don't get anything out of it, those are less masks for the ritual.
Absolutely. And I will I'll share this in a second, but first, as the arcane energy courses through all of you, Pandora, I think it occurs to you first, being the least attached to this recent addition to your arsenal. And you place your hand upon your face and where there are scales and fur, you draw the mask away. And as you do, you clutch it within your grip. And this incredibly powerful artifact that should not be able to be destroyed by Nier on any means cracks. And as it does, it's like a geode. You see a line of amethyst run through it. And you squeeze tighter and tighter and tighter until the green all across this mask gives way to amethyst. Now a resplendent, bright pink mask within your grip. As this is happening, Yuan, within your grasp, a blue mask begins to form, crystalline sapphires. Likewise, Davos, a golden stoned topaz mask forms within your grip. Goldbrand, a emerald mask, is drawn from the energies and manifests within your hands. Within Arcanauts. Yeah, I just want to double check my math before I say this. Arcanauts. You feel the energy from Sardior coursing through you, surging together with Nissa's own channeling of her god's might. And as the white mask in your hand blackens, I think that you're more than a little confused. The mask grows dull and ashy. And seeing Pandora's mask undergo its transformation, you try to discard the ash from it. And yet, while it turns glossy, it does not turn red. A black gleaming mask is now within your hands, dulled almost. I need all of you to go to your inventory and add a dragon mask to your inventory of the color that we've just discussed. Topaz for Davos, emerald for Goldbrand, sapphire for Yuan, amethyst for Barbara, and for Arcanox, I will add yours for you. Give me 1 second.
Ooh.
As each of you feels these masks come into existence, you are, perhaps without you even leaning into it, you feel it latch onto you. And before long, all 5 of you resemble gemstone dragons in various forms. Not necessarily the full draconic head of the chromatic worm speakers, but elements of these tied into your appearances. Davos, as this topaz energy sort of fuses to you, what does it look like? What changes do we see on Davos?
Just reading, it looks like it just folds to our face.
What happens is that the mask sort of fuses with you to take on a various elements. For example, like the blue worm speaker, his mask manifested as a pauldron upon his shoulder. Enmity likewise had a sort of a mantle of scales, but it became the dragon. He became draconic when he fully engaged with it. I guess what I'm asking is, does yours manifest more as an accessory or as a physical draconic manifestation of yourself? It could do both, but which one do you think would be the initial response that Devos would have to it?
I guess the latter. Like my wings, while angelic, maybe they take on a little more of a dragon-esque appearance. My armor, instead of being mostly silver, starts developing those bronze and topaz accents. And then like my chest piece with the Lathander's blue light, probably encrusted in topaz gem circle.
The gemstone in that is topaz. and you look down and see that where it rests upon your chest, there is still the amulet loose and free as it was, but beneath it, embedded in the armor, is a sunburst of topaz, several streaks that come out from the very core of your chest. You see that your wings have this, again, the scaly elements, and where it was feathers, it does not turn into a membrane of sorts, but the feathers themselves appear to be gemstones, gleaming and catching the light and refracting it all across the space. Goldbrand, how does your mask manifest itself? The emerald.
So I think
I could see.
does give him dark vision, which is cool. I think it does go and sit over his head the way that the bear did if he had his hood pulled up, because the horns, it says, come out of the forehead. So I like to think they go out and up, very like you would gore someone with, almost like a bull.
Loki?
Yes, that's a pretty good image. But it like melds, it looks sort of like a helmet. If you were to look at the back, it almost melds into his shoulders, and all of his tattoos look like they're made of emeralds. So these big long lines of emerald, and his bear cloak itself, like I think it's almost frosted. The ends have little jagged edges of emerald on them.
Goldbrand's skin, which has often appeared stonish in behavior, now looks as if it is an ore deposit. Lines of emerald streaking through it, forming these intricate tattoos across him. You see as the horns rise from his forehead, his bald head now is scaled over, and it sort of dispenses as a mantle across his back. Just again, veins of these emeralds that run through his skin. I like to think that in particular, your eyes take on a greenish hue. They seem to have their own innate brightness, as you said, to give you dark vision. Something that formerly you had to rely on a magical object for, but now is imbued within you. Yuan, as the sapphire mask takes root, what does it look like for you?
I think that it wouldn't fully cover my face, but I imagine that it sort of like starts to adhere to part of my head with like little spindles, almost not like a crown, but sort of like there are like juts of like blue sticking off the top of it. But because I'm already wearing the blue dragon scale cloak, I imagine that it sort of like comes down around the sides of my neck and starts to meld into that in a flowing way, almost as if it's one singular piece of armor. And in the same way, I'm wearing that breastplate with the stone in the center of it, that Shadowfell shard that looks sort of a green-blue. I imagine that it's almost like the ombre of the color in that Shadowfell goes from like the blue around my neck down to the green at the bottom. And it almost becomes like one full mantle of armor.
I think another effect we notice on Yuan, who has become grayed through his experiences with the Book of Vile Darkness. If you recall, the Korra, his jade-colored hair had streaks of copper through it, and I think now those gray hairs that you adopted through the Book of Vile Darkness become a crystalline blue. The faded gray lines on the side of your eyes, which had once been writhing black marks of your dark influence, now turn a crystalline blue. Your skin tone becomes more of its natural blue as well, rather than the sort of semi-faded effect. This, in many ways, sort of revitalizes you, changing from taking what was once a sign of the detriments you had and now becoming almost empowering. Pandora, as you feel the green mask shift into amethyst, how does this change you?
So I feel like more than anything, talking about like whether it be an accessory or, actual mask or transformation, I feel like it would be her bow. I think it would take over, the bow that's kind of her accent, and it kind of radiates, I would think, that kind of purple amethysty glow. I think her fur would probably shift colors at something this drastic too, whereas like the Amethyst Dragon's blessings and stuff might have given her, some glowy accents and such, I think now her fur would have like a very visible like color shift.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier in the last session about how the like a raven's feathers have a gloss of green, that you imagine your fur had something similar for the green dragon mask, and I think you're right that it does a similar thing with that ultraviolet pink hue. I think also the brooch that the amethyst dragon gave you sort of anchors itself to you and grows into this little spiked pauldron here. The bow, where you grip it, uh, which I have to do, yeah, with your left hand, along the left side of the bow, it becomes around the hand, almost like a guard, if you will, that seems to run its way up your arm and strengthen its connection to you, becoming physically anchored. The green scales around your eyes shift to this hint of pink, and I think that you have this brightness in your eyes, where the green dragon mask made your eyes appear more slitted and feral. This one makes them seem more wise and intelligent, more less wild and more magical.
That's a for
What?
I said that's a first for Pandora.
Yeah, wisdom. Like, I know everything. I think that's Arcanox. As your white mask takes on this darker hue, how does this affect Arcanox's appearance?
I imagine it's like the same color scheme as with the white mask. You know what I mean? Like where it's like I'm still like the red dragonborn, like with the white over it. I think the white just turned into black. Reading over the dull dragon mask, it's like black, but it has like the red cracks on it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's those white streaks, and I think it happens around your eyes first, just blacken before it runs along your veins. I think also you notice like the ridges and spikes on your body, your wings, become that sort of cracked black with the red veins running through them. And I think all of you sort of notice that you expected Arcanox to become more ruby in appearance. He is already a ruby dragonborn, and I think you expected a strengthening of that, but this seems to be something else. And you're not certain if this is a result of the ritual not quite going right, if it wasn't quite enough magic to pull through, or if this was intentional. Before we progress, I would love if everyone could share the very last effect on all of your masks. The bulk of their abilities are the same. However, the last ability for each is unique. Anybody who sees that in front of them can go ahead and share that with us.
Sonic Foresight. Once per long rest as a bonus action, you can choose one target you can see. You learn the target's next intended move based on the current circumstances the target is aware of. You also learn of a single legendary or layer action that creature may take within the next round, provided it has one to take.
Who's next?
I have Draconic Luck. Once per long rest as a reaction. Anytime someone rolls a d20 and gets a 1 or a 20, I can change it to a 20 or a 1.
Yeah, that's cool.
Flip flop.
So
I have it's called Razored Edge. And once per long rest, when I hit with a melee weapon, I can choose to deal double the bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. Which is
Yeah. You want?
I sell my soul for that.
Mine's called Shatter Concentration. Once per long rest, I can use my action to force a target I can see to automatically break concentration on a spell or magical effect.
Bro, so bro.
That's sick.
He's just gonna use it on me, I know it.
Just for fun, for shits and giggles.
Well,
As
Dallas
would
has his
be
aura
right.
up. No.
Mid performance at the bar. Fuck this.
Godly power. He
Uh,
uses it to fuck with Dallas.
Barbara.
Yeah, I've got pressure lock. So once per long rest, I can use a bonus action to reduce a target's movement speed to 0. Lock it down.
I feel like that's appropriate because you're always flipping them upside down with the gravity shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
all
kind
of
of
these are-
Corpse says, nope.
all of these are tied to the respective gemstone dragons that bestowed you with them. Saphine being particularly attuned to magic, helping you on shatter concentration. Belgalus being a luck dragon at heart, helping turn either fortune or misfortune into just the opposite. And the foresight of the green dragon, who is, well, it hasn't been much discussed because we had to scrap that storyline, is one who is more of the type to sit back and observe and try to figure out how things are going to go rather than manipulate them in advance. And then, of course, Argonox's peculiar change. As you all take on these new aspects, I think that Nissa, in particular, will say, we have done great work this day. Sardior's will be done. May all of you restore balance to this realm. I think each of your respective Gemstone Dragon allies will give you a few words of encouragement, compliments on the new digs. Douglas thinks, well, you were a right ugly bastard before, but, with the wings, I think you've made a little bit of an improvement.
You said I was dashing. That's why we were partners.
I said we were dashing. I was trying to be generous.
Well, we're both dashing for sure now. Thank you, Felgalus.
He'll slap you on the ass. I guess he can't reach much higher than that. And give a wink. He's like, don't take me yet. There's work yet to be done. Saphine will also remark that she's quite happy to have two of the chromatic dragon masks permanently dealt with, as it were. I will tell you that, and this is a triple, Yuan, Nissa, and Saphine lose the ability to cast Wish. As all three of them rolled less than a 33 with their base roll. And would have failed, period, had you guys not snapped the masks to get them above a certain threshold.
As a curiosity, would you have allowed me to use inspiration that I have to reroll that? I mean, it's past the point, but I'm curious.
Still got mine as well.
I wish you would have said that before. You know what? Roll it, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
It's lower.
Gonna roll it to everyone.
Not that that would affect anything.
No, it's way
shit.
higher.
Much better.
Now we tied,
man.
damn it.
This
Now Dav is
would have
back for a turn.
changed. This would have changed one thing, but it's been spoken, and therefore it is done. And either way, all roads lead to Rome, as it were. You retain your ability to cast Wish for another day. Nissa and Saphine lose this ability, but neither one of them seems begrudging of it. This is very much a good purpose. And if it's the last wish that Saphine can ever cast, then she thinks it's a pretty damn good one. Saphine will say, well, congratulations. I think everybody in the room looks a damn bit more handsome now. But we have got business to tend to. We need y'all to go take care of Cloth. The sooner we can get him on our side, the sooner we can consider at least Enmity's dragon dealt with. I think that Valerie, Valapiandra will speak up as well and say, well, and that's not necessarily all we wanted to speak to you about. Give me 1 second. I just lost my spot.
Hidden while Joey finds his spot.
Yeah.
Turn your eyes up here where they can see.
Kitten Mittens.
She's so.
Is your cat making too much noise?
Lord.
I don't know. I don't know who this reference is.
Kitten Mittens.
No, it does. Just let him stew in it.
I'll send it to you, Devin.
I must have either deleted or misplaced a note here. But Amethyst will say, and if there's something else that we must address before the battle. The gathering of the undead does pose quite the problem. If they amass that army again, it'll be quite difficult for our land forces to be able to fight their way through it. If we can find out whatever is bringing them back to life and take care of it before the battle begins, we will save many, many casualties. To the best of our knowledge, the undead had been marching from Hellgate Keep south to the Well of Dragons. When that stopped, they began a rising starting at the southernmost point and working their way north. As of now, I think everything below the city of Everasca has been brought back. But if you can try to intercept whatever is bringing them back, it will give us a great deal of, it'll even the odds significantly. Devin seems confused.
He's
You
just
are
trying to
moved.
figure out what to do with the cat in his lap.
Mostly.
We didn't hear you, Devin.
No, I'm just processing. My screen flickered. I thought it was doing some machines. If you make hand signals, will do funny things, and I thought Discord was being silly. No, like if you do a thumbs up, it'll do a thumbs up emoji, like on Mac, etc., etc.
Oh, I see.
Not here or there. I'm trying to figure out what's raising dead people. Also, besides me, I'm a little angry about it. I don't know. That's
She'll
weird.
say,
Well, we can.
I'm immune
they
to
know-
necrotic.
I was supposed to say they know we killed the White Worm Speaker.
yes. Yeah, the army that was marching south died, again, when you took out the White Worm Speaker, but something seems to have been trying to pick up where he left off and bring them back.
Yeah, that's
Or
what I'm trying
something.
to figure out.
It wasn't me.
You know that Tiamat, as a very dark entity, and the Cult of the Dragon could have resources that might do something similar. Malek seems to have been their primary method of bringing about these, the most efficient anyway. But yeah, it's curiouser and curiouser. You have two current objectives. Go find out what the hell is raising dead things and re-kill it, or go to the Cloth and Veil and recruit Cloth. Not necessarily an either-or situation, but which do you think the most pressing? Which do you choose to go to first?
My vote is that if the thing's going to continue amassing an army the longer we wait, that we deal with that first.
I concur.
Fair logic.
This bitch just attacked my cords. Righteous bitch.
Is that slang?
Oh, my cat attacked
Oh.
my. I sort of agree. What was I just? If we don't. So theoretically, if we go do one and not the other, a bad thing happens when we do the not thing. I know that didn't make any sense. If he goes and attacks Silvery Moon, they may not be there to help us. If Cloth goes to attack Silvery Moon, is my only worry there. Alternatively, a roving horde of undead might destroy some fucking city that we weren't able,
I think
Cetera,
that
cetera.
Safine will provide some context to that. Let me move y'all to a map.
I was about to say, geographically, is one kind of on the way? Or are
Yes
they
and
two
no.
opposite directions?
They're sort of opposite ends of the world, of the Sword Coast anyway. So the Cloth and Veil is near the Black Raven standing stone, which is up here in the north, just to the south of the spine of the world. If you see the white territory, you're in the right area. Somewhere right about there. Safine will say, on the flip side, the city of Everasca has already been decimated. And I guess it's sort of a silver lining thing that it was destroyed when Bane marched through the same area. The city had not been as big as it was when it was destroyed this last go round. If you guys look to the southeast of the map, you'll see the Well of Dragons with a flurry of activity around it, as well as the cindered city of Everasca. It would appear that whatever was doing, that the Horde of Undead were going southward from Hellgate Keep down to the Well of Dragons. Let me move over here, I can do some symbols here. the Hellgate Keeps over here, had been traveling southeastward toward the Well of Dragons, and that up until this point it has been brought back. As these things are being brought back, they are not. This area has been largely evacuated due to this. And when the army started coming through the first time, they got people out. So there's not exactly an immediate threat for either source. She will say that if we take care of Claw and we get Silvery Moon on our side, they will need time to mobilize troops. Likewise, she says, hopefully we can accomplish both. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't apprehensive not knowing Cloth's stance on the matter. If he is against us and is choosing to bide his time, he would be a most unwelcome surprise, and we would be losing not only armies, but draconic allies in the fight against Silvery Moon. Which way are we headed? North or south?
With the party. Just JK.
Please, please. Let's get this TPK rolling.
That's Bergen's area. You think he could get us there any faster?
She's like, well, I could spare a spell and get you there pretty quick. I will not lie that using up my night for the day was not on my agenda, but I reckon I can still get a gate or two rolling. As I said, I'm going to look it up.
I don't know. I don't think my vote changes much.
And gate is a 9th level spell, so she won't be able to do it today. That's fine. She can get y'all there, but she won't be able to. She was going to set up a gate like near Neverwinter, where their troops could start teleporting down and getting closer in position. She's still going to do that just tomorrow instead of today now.
Actually, I need to wait till tomorrow's to leave.
You need to wait till tomorrow to leave?
I'm out of a 5th and a 7th. I'm out for reincarnate and regenerate.
You were doing quite a bit of hustling there, weren't you? Well, I won't lie. We're looking at a small handful of days left before all of this shit flies south. Waiting another day would not be the best option. That said, hopefully the encounter with Cloth will be positive and you will not need to fight. But surely whatever is raising the dead will not end in anything short of bloodshed.
Now that I look at this, I am only missing those two. I thought I was missing more. I'm down to go not pick a fight if you guys are.
Well, yeah, she did make a good point. I also just burned my 9th level spell, and I would prefer to have a day to get that back. So if we're going to prioritize objectives, go talk to the dragon and hope he doesn't eat us.
I'm glad to hear this because I did title the session Old Snarl, thinking we would get to it for sure, and then I was like, oh, if they do that second, that won't happen.
Now I just want to do the other one just because.
Just to fuck with Joey, yeah.
I also realized these
Everybody's
masks gives us advantage on some charisma stuff against dragons, which I think will be fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Also, all have a legendary resistance. I will say you have an hour before y'all can spend an hour attuning to these. If all of you want to choose something you might have to relinquish something to do that. Pandora and Arcanox, y'all can destroy the previous masks and put these on. Everyone else might have to forfeit up an attunement slot.
I mean, yeah, that's what I find.
Haven't used the crystal ball in ages.
You just had one come available, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I hate doing it. Also, I have to roll a d4. Everybody can ignore this.
Oh my god!
The roll
I'm so
to hit
curious.
Davos
I don't-
dice. Once a day, Yuan fights the urge to punch Davos.
And he just failed his check. It's funny, I told him the DC is 16, but he insists on rolling a d4.
Odd or even. You know, if it's even, I punch you in the balls. If it's odd, I punch you in the throat.
So, we are where currently?
Right now, y'all are in Waterdeep. So if you look down south, let me go back to the
Got it.
thing. This thing right
So-
there. Yeah. You're
We'd
technically
have to
closer.
wait. We'd have to wait tomorrow for Safine to transport us. I don't think we'd be able to get there within a day.
No, she can teleport you there now. She cannot. What she was wanting to do was open a gate, which is like a permanent portal from point A to point B. She was going to set one up in Neverwinter, where these troops that are really far away can get closer to the front lines instead of having to wait days to march across the
Okay.
countryside.
So teleport
fact,
to Old
she's-
Snarl.
Yeah. In fact, Helmshold, Gauntle Grim, and Neverwinter, as well as maybe some people from the 10 towns, would be gathering at that location, sort of conversing wherever she can put these, or congregating wherever she can put these gates. Of course, she does not have to put one in every city, for example. Yeah, all of you begin to head out of the room. Give me 1 second. I'm going to shift my tunes here. Shout out to the track. Oh, actually, this is the Tavern and Exploring track, not the Wandering like I originally thought it was. As you all gather around Safine, and hands on each other's shoulder, she snaps her fingers and takes you all to a rather beautiful location. You're almost a little surprised. Something about going to the territory of a red dragon, the largest red dragon in the continent, in the plane, I believe. You expected it to be, I don't know, scorched and blazed and, just signs of constant conflict and struggle but it's surprisingly pastoral, very picturesque in a way. When you arrive, you find that Safine is not with you. And it probably doesn't take you long to realize that if Klauth realized there was a dragon in your company or in his territory, that would make you persuading him much more difficult.
Should we
as
not
you-
have the dragon masks on then?
Masks are fine, but to know there was another dragon in his territory would be, let's just say there's a baseline for what the DC is, and your interactions with him can either raise or lower that DC. Having another dragon in his territory would raise it quite a bit. As
Look
you
at
all
the size of their hole.
that's what you said. As you all appear here, give me a perception check. I'll give 2 people. Let's say Pandora and I think Davos are the 2 who said got sharp eyes.
Yeah, it was. I got the good perception.
Sharp eyes and wits, my good man.
29.
There we go. Fantastic. A few things you all notice. The first thing you notice is that there are animals all the fuck over this goddamn valley. You see sheep and goats and cows and these large bison-like creatures called Roth. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it is just absolutely teeming. What I think you notice on your higher rolls is that many of these have brands for different ranches and farms, many of them from quite a ways away. You gather that these have been snatched from various places and brought here to be his food supply. And they're in such great number so that they can breed and multiply and be sustainable in a way. You also see, I think Davos will point out, like he did, the obvious that, oh, there's a big old hole over there. That huge cavern, it looks like it's carved into the cliffside. That's, big enough for a dragon's den. You also notice, Davos, that there's a small but very deep well within the center. It has a name, not that you all would know it, but it is not a well as in a well we would go to fetch to water, but a very deep, 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 deep pond. And upon closer inspection, you do notice that there are bones within it, and not small bones. You see the bones of 3 adult dragons fully submerged within this well. And it doesn't take you too long to gather that these are probably dragons that either tried to invade his territory or tried to go for Klauth directly. And this is all that remains of them. Uh, what Pandora picks up that Davos does not notice is that the giant gaping hole you see is rather obvious, isn't it? You know, he is a powerful dragon. That doesn't mean he wants to be. He doesn't necessarily want his lair exposed. And so she takes a closer look around the surrounding countryside and finds that there is a point within the ridges on the right where she sees another opening, a far more subtle entry to her lair, to a lair. Uh, Pandora would probably put together that first hole that Davos saw. That is a decoy. That is where he wants people to go looking for him. This seems much more hidden and much more secretive. Gaping hole, the giant weeping orifice from the side of the mountain. Uh, uh, as all of you assess your options here, is there anything you want to do before you choose to go within one of these two spaces?
You mean besides drink?
Always drink. Oh,
Is
where's
this
something?
the secondary entry you're talking about? Sorry.
It's not physically represented on the map,
Okay.
but it's sort of on the opposite end of the ridge. I imagine it would be behind these jagged parts over here.
Also, why is it weeping? He should get that checked out.
It's a natural buildup of algae. That's there's nothing about their personal hygiene. Last minute things for you for you go dragon hunting, going once, going twice.
Goldbrand prays for death.
As he always does. Alright. After no preparations declared, so you all make your way into the first. What does that say? Big old. What do my players be writing on my maps?
The big old gate.
Big old gate. Wow.
That's a big old gate.
Oh, I see. With a P, not a T. On that note, I'm gonna use the restroom.
So damn.
Why on that note?
Devin too has a large weeping hole that needs to be.
He'll be back in 30 to 45 seconds. This is pretty quick.
Oh god! Wow. More like a hot
Low
drop.
pressure allows a rapid evacuation.
As you all gather near to the what you believe to be Bluff's primary lair, kind of want to wait for Davos for this for just a second, or Devin for this. I'm sorry, Davos. I would never insult you like that.
Point of order, because I think we would have done this before we left while we're buying time. So the plan was to go here and then go deal with the other thing. Would we stop back at our original origination point before we go handle the other thing with the undead?
Potentially. I think that's up to y'all.
Okay. In my brain, we were going to do that, and so because I didn't know what we were getting into here, I intentionally left you two with Tabitha and Safine to be babysat.
That's very good. No, that's doable.
And I specifically told him, hands off.
Yeah. He looks at his hands and is like, they come off? Just so oblivious. He does ask if you have any orders for him before you depart.
I don't, but what I probably would have done was rummage through our bag and see if there was anything that he could have attuned to or studied or tried to get good with, specifically like any small weapons he would have been capable of using.
Yeah. We can work through that between now and next week. But we can definitely get him a few things.
But no, otherwise I would have just told him to stay out of trouble, and if trouble finds you, do your best to protect the people around you.
He gives you a little sarcastic salute. And you think, man, if he wasn't so devilishly handsome, you know. With all of
It's
you
like
stand.
it's like when your own child gives you sass and you're like, God, I love you, but you made me so mad. It's like looking at myself down there.
I love my son so much, more than anything in this world, but he is so fucking sassy, like his goddamn mom, and it is just.
Like his mom,
Ugh.
huh?
Look,
Ooh.
okay, I might be sassy, but Cat has way more sass. Anywho, as you
Also-
all.
Sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
It's
Nope, do it.
unrelated.
Say it. Coward.
I just need to know if Atticus went sledding for the first time in his life today.
Not the
would have
first
been-
time, but yes, he did
Oh,
go sledding.
When was the last
I'll
time?
post a
we-
video. I'll post a video to chat later. But yeah, he had a great time.
Sledding for the first time today.
You did? You're old.
I am.
But, I mean, we've not had this much snow ever in his lifetime. I'm pretty sure.
He did. We did in it snowed one Christmas in 2022. He was young, but he did go sledding a little bit at Pops' house. This was a much better snow for that. Granted. I'll send videos later. Anyway, as you all head within the cavern that you assume to be Cloth's, can I get one person to make one more perception check for me?
Mine's
Bandor.
plus 12. Yeah.
I think you and Davos are both plus 12.
I
Great,
do
I think-
12, but she
I
somehow
have
Barbara-
a
always
proficiency,
rolls
so I
way
can't roll
higher.
lower than a 10 either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
expert. not
because her roguish
expertise.
shit.
Yeah, something else.
Reliable talent, I think it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara,
Give it to
yeah,
me.
go ahead and roll a perception check. 24.
24.
As you enter this cavern, you make your way down. You see that it is purposefully not quite as visible through the main valley. It is nonetheless still carved carefully from the stone. You can see the grooves from where massive talons have raked away stone and bit by bit made this secluded little hovel into a broad cavern. It gets warmer as you go down, and you do find that veins of lava seem to have congrued here. Some potentially signs of volcanic activity that may have been unearthed by Cloth in his attempts to make the place a little cozier, or perhaps brought up from the very core by his mere presence. I think something that you take into account is the size of this chamber and the tunnel that is necessary. You have all faced down Rancor, which at the time was the biggest dragon of this plane. And this looks spacious even for him. As you come in, you see a scattering of gold coins, platinum, a few arcane artifacts within the center of this chamber. You see a waterfall on the far right where a pool of water seems to be diverted from a local lake and seems to have its own area where it pools before it escapes through a subterranean tunnel. As you all enter this space, you do not see signs of Cloth himself. What do you choose to do?
Should we announce our presence?
That might be polite. I can attempt to find magics in the areas. If you want to try that. I think I have detect magic. I should. We could. You're right. Just holler. I'm a little afraid he might have minions.
What's the play, gang?
I mean, does it look like the cavern keeps going?
I have to spell.
This seems to be its primary ending point. With the 24, I would say that's the most that Barbara picks up. This seems to be the main area of the chamber.
Okay. Hang on.
A detect magic might be helpful if anyone has it. I do not.
Let me see if I do. I only have dispel.
Same. I'm sus. He's like invisible or some shit.
I have see invisibility.
We all have true sight up to 30 feet.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I was trying
You
to look
can
it up and see what it did.
you can activate True Sight. It's not inherent, but yeah, I think it's a bonus action to trigger it within 30 feet. You see anything that would be invisible. You also see anything that is not anything that has been shapeshifted. You see its original form.
I wouldn't mind burning mine if you guys wanted to. Try it out.
Goldbrand quietly. How the fuck did you do that? Activates his. Like, you know,
Yeah,
just grabbing his horns.
I'll
Like, how the fuck
say
did you do that?
if the two of you trigger your vision, uh, you do a bit of a glance around and not noticing anything in particular. You sort of wander about the chamber a bit. And before too long, Davos, you sort of look up and see that you only see the edge of it based on your 30 feet. You see the eyes and the snout of an incredibly massive dragon. One that's admittedly you are roughly the size of its fangs. You know, this thing is colossal. Some perspective for y'all. Uh, Also, for perspective, uh, to compare this to uh, Enmity's dragon, Rancor, let me do this real quick. Oh, come on. I hit the little arrow. It's going to be dumb. I'm sorry. That's okay. If it doesn't work, it's quite off. I'll just, motherfucker. You piece of shit. There you go. This was more akin to Rancor, but Rancor stopped growing in death. Cloth has continually gotten larger and larger and larger. Um, as he sees your eyes widen at his approach, you all see a plume of smoke come down from the top of this chamber and sort of wash over all of you. Uh, you hear this deep, bassy growl as he shifts his way down, nestling on the pile of gold within this chamber and looking at all of you, not patiently, but cautiously. He is waiting to see what you do. Only Davos and Goldbrand see this. All of you see the smoke, but he has not yet dropped his invisibility. What do you do?
I think the initial seeing was just, oh fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No one make any sudden moves.
I'm gonna talk to him.
Yeah, we've come to bargain. We've come to parlay. I don't know how to go wrong.
He's a big fella.
Goldbrand looking at Cloth. We've come to speak with you.
And why would such tiny mortal think they have earned the right to speak with me? What
It is-
business have you?
It is mostly an act of desperation. The realm
would
needs
have-
help.
You don't give a shit about the realm.
It must be desperation to drive you in here willingly. Speak plainly. Why do you dare to enter my domain?
We think we can be
Mhm.
of service to you, but you might have to be of service to us. Surely
have
understand the
many who
mutual
serve me.
arrangements.
What makes this? What do you think be worth my time for your petty service?
Maintaining your supremacy.
He cocks an eyebrow as you say something that does trigger his interest. My supremacy is unquestionable.
By all but one mighty worm. If the Dragon Queen herself comes back to the physical realm, where does that leave your position?
You watch as he wantonly rolls a shoulder. Should the Dragon Queen be successful, I will be the prize of her kind on this realm. Make no mistake, I do not delight in her return. But it makes little difference to me whether she rules this realm or another. She will leave me to my valley.
Goldbrand believe him?
You can roll an insight check. I need to pull up a stat
Right.
block.
We know that otherwise.
Give me 1 second.
Devin does not believe in. I'd like to use my inspiration. I think I'm gonna re-roll that
You most certainly may.
because it's. A
That's
dragon,
ironic.
I'm
The
scared.
cloth stat block comes with Storm King's Thunder.
Because he's not in the monster manual or whatever.
24 is much better. Give me a second. This is not his full modifier. I don't know if it'll roll for y'all. Okay. You gather. I'm gonna walk a fine line here. While he is not eager for her return, he seems to be of the mindset: if I am not to be the biggest dragon in this realm, the only one I would be second to would be Tiamat. I would still hold a position of authority and power, not over her, but over many of his kind. You gather it would bother him much more if he was lower on the totem pole. Like, let's say another great worm were to come back and dethrone him, as it were.
Do you realize that she would potentially bring Rancor back into this world?
You see, he draws his lips back and a snarl at the mere mention of the name. Rancor holds no power over me. He may have been the largest upon his demise, but I have grown greater than he ever could.
And you could oppose him while he is backed by Tiamat, while he has a worm speaker.
You see him hesitate a bit in his response. The worm speakers have tried to win over my favor, and they have each failed. And yet each of you come seeking the same with your own unique tools, as he assesses the myriad of gemstones that cover you all. I have heard her call, but I refuse to answer. I don't care what worm speakers they send after me. I yield to no one.
We don't need your favor, just your corporations.
You need not yield, only we ask you fight to serve your own interest.
He watches you expectantly. What interest do you speak?
Put him on the spot here a little bit.
You could maintain your dominance on these realms. If you can... If you're willing to cooperate. There is no doubt that soon, Rancor himself and his worm speaker will be at the Well of Dragons. You could remove a rival and potentially indirectly aid our cause.
He seems to be humoring the idea. but not investing fully in it. The mortals think they can bend our will to do as they please to serve your interests. I do not see a reason to stop what is already doomed to fail. Tiamat's cult has not raised nearly enough sacrifices to make this ritual a success. I have no interest in humoring their attempt.
Surely it's only a matter of time.
A great many humans will be marching upon the well. There's little that can be done to stop it at this point. They will have the sacrifices that they need, eventually. Children's. Corbin should have said children's.
You are leading lambs to the slaughter. But you do speak true. That if left unchecked, they will certainly gather more for their cause. I know that the Queen gathers a horde unlike any other known in this realm. I know that many of my brethren gather at her side. But I do not believe that Rancor could dethrone me. And yet, with the power united, a threat could be posed. It would not be the first that my kin have sought to cooperate to overthrow me. And the evidence of their upheaval now lies scattered within my waters. You think of the 3 dragon skeletons within the well, 3 attempted usurpers put down. He seems to be mulling the idea over. I will tell you mechanically, he is at a set DC right now. If you want to try to add anything before a check is made to see if you can persuade that DC down, now is the time to do it.
I would like to roll my Wheel or Woe from the last long rest before we go any further, so I know what that is.
Sure.
Oh boy, it's a
Wheel?
Yeah, it'll let us add.
The caveman, when he first invents it, oh boy, it's a wheel.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I want to speak up or not. So I think in this moment I've been observing for a little bit, and I would sort of try to fan his ego a little bit and say, even if you don't feel threatened, is there nothing else you desire? What would you like to gain from this? Surely we can be beneficial partners. You seem to be under the mistaken guise that we want to use you, but that is not the case. I think we can help each other.
If you did not seek to manipulate me, you would not come equipped with such foul artifacts. You seek to bend me to your will, that much is clear. But you are correct that there is much to be gained in their failure. He muses to himself a little more. DC has dropped a little more from that. Any final attempts before I ask someone to make a roll? Okay. One person may make a roll. This would have been at disadvantage, but you have gotten him below a threshold where it is going to be a flat check. Or excuse me. You have advantage, yes. He is not imposing disadvantage, so the mask would give you the flat advantage. Who is rolling this?
Do we get to know what it is? Like persuasion?
It's a persuasion check, but you don't get to know the DC.
You said it is persuasion. I got a plus 17.
Pretty solid.
Okay. I think that's
With the
probably you then.
ability, if I roll a nat 1, I could make it a nat 20.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
use
true.
my woe. Not woe. It's a wheel right now. Let me mark this off. Here's your D6. It's +5.
So it's automatically a 24 if I roll.
Pretty high.
All right, with advantage.
Yes, sir.
Here it is.
2 net ones. Come on.
No.
I mean,
Oh!
Oh
my. What is that? A 32?
11.
42.
42.
Oh, 42, yeah.
What's the other 10 from?
I get a
the
plus
dice
17, and it was a
You got a
nat.
nat 20 plus 17 plus your 5 is 42.
Yeah.
David's like, the math checks out.
That's what I said.
You watch as he lowers his head to you, Worm Speaker. What do you say to him, Davos? What is your final plea?
I know what I want to say. I'm trying to think how to phrase it. I think it's been too long that Tiamat has been called the greatest of dragons. Let it be known now as Cloth, ruler of all dragons.
You hear a deep rumble of satisfaction, not originating within his chest and yet reverberating throughout this entire cavern.
I shield my hands for the fireball I'm about to get.
Very good, Josh. You watch as he rolls his eyes side to side, contemplating the pros and the cons. And I will tell you, a 42 is exceptional. His starting DC with this was a 40, and you have whittled it down to a 33. So your 30 would not have worked, but your natural 20 with Stefan's wheel most certainly has. He will look to you and say, very well then. If it is a matter of staking my claim on this realm and making it clear that none stand above me, then I will aid in your cause. I imagine that the cult is no great ally. And yet, I wonder if I may not be able to provide something of use to you, given your generosity. I shall bestow upon you a boon, provided you let me keep the hoard that has been amassed in its entirety. And I think you would all know this has been gold largely stolen from cities and settlements throughout the Sword Coast. There are people who have interest in reclaiming that, and may not be pleased if you promise away their fortune. And yet, he seems to be offering you something for the promise of it. He does not appear to want to specify. More of quid pro quo, as it were.
Any other rich people's gold, and whether or not they want it back.
Do you promise something you may not be able to guarantee for an ally and assistance? Well, you gather he will assist either way, but he can
Sweet.
provide you with something that'll make it a lot easier.
I don't know, man. What are them other lords gonna do? Fight us about it? We're fucking demigods. Let's
That's
go.
kind of what I'm saying, man. I'm like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna roll up and be like, "Hey, where's the money they stole?" And I'm gonna be like, "Hey, the Earth isn't destroyed. You're welcome."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Yeah,
it
this-
wasn't stolen from just the riches, though. It took every gold coin. The grandma who
Yeah,
saved it for her whole life and has it.
call
Fucking
them
bleeding heart
call them
paladins.
call it the not getting eaten by a dragon tax.
Yeah, I think people might be willing to pay that. And then, if I'm so worried about being a civil servant, I'll do what I can to help the people in the towns.
And really, if whatever he gives us is a certain kind of, there's a very good chance we could potentially sell whatever it is he gives us for money later. If we, afterwards, we really wanted to. Like I said, what are they gonna do about it? Not only would we just save the world, but if you want to fight us about it, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
We're scary.
It's kind of hard to be like, hey, that's our gold. Well, the giant dragon thinks it's his gold, so take it up with him. Okay. It sounds like you are agreeable to this. I do want to get a verbal confirmation before I proceed, though.
Sorry, I almost got paged.
You can keep your spoils of war.
Yeah, I almost go with
He grins. Not viciously, but covetously. With avarice, if you will. And I think passive perception for Pandora, I think, might be high enough to where she realizes that the gold he is standing upon is not his hoard. This is a false hoard in a way, where if someone were to sneak in while he would be away, if they were to take something of this, it would not be of any great loss to him. Pandora sees a rather large stone in the back corner of the chamber and gathers that it. What?
The Arkenstone.
Ark's not a stone. No, she gathers that this covers another entryway where there is significantly more hoarded away. Dragons regard hoards in such a way that they are a symbol of power and status. You can be the strongest dragon, but if you don't have the hoard to back it up, you are not respected. That is one reason that Tiamat requires a hoard for her to enter the realm. She can have everything else, but if she does not have a respectable hoard waiting for her, she will not go through with it. So the idea of gaining all of the riches that would be the Dragon Queens does very much motivate Cloth. You watch as he climbs back to the top of this chamber, and you see there are more caves carved through here, little places where he has squirreled away various things. And what he brings down, something that almost looks familiar. You see before you an airship, a large airship, larger than the Wyvern, and in fact, the banners on it are of the Cult of the Dragon. You gather that they attempted to come and persuade him to join their cause, and he devoured the crew and kept the ship as a trophy. You also notice, I think Ark in particular would see, that the ship itself is coated with dragon hide. The sails are made from dragon wings. This is a fireproof ship that is embedded with a particular powers. I think that Cloth would even tell you that aboard this ship is a gate stone, meaning that once a day, this ship in its entirety and everyone on it can be teleported, providing you with a much speedier means of getting around. He bestows this to you as a gift, a down payment on the hoard that is to be his. They have wandered here before and tried to coax me from the cave, and I have little interest in what she wants. May this prove useful to you. Who knows? You might even be able to slip by them unnoticed, flaunting their own colors. It seems that Cloud has just given you a way to, not to borrow a phrase from Davos, but sneak in the back door.
We're not worthy. We're not.
Is this the?
Oh.
This is more for Devin. Is this the ship in Storm King's Thunder, like the little balloon?
I am
airship?
borrowing that concept. This art is not from that. This is AI generated. I'm sorry, I'm poor.
Oh, I
But
didn't see this.
in the original Storm King's Thunder,
Here
you
you
know,
go,
I had the
chat.
West Wind Wyvern come to you guys after the collapse of the Temple of the Allfather. Written into the story, Cloth gives you an airship. If you stop
Looks like a
Imarit's
Atla
plot.
airship.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. You have been given a great boon of power. You have been promised an ally in the upcoming fight that you know will greatly help even the odds. And you know that before you stands an army of undead that could be the make or break factor for this. And I think as you exit this cave, considering yourself overall with a victory, a voice rings in your ear. Safine, paging through to Arcanauts, says, "The obsidian is loose. We don't know how, we don't know where, and we don't know who, but he is not in the demiplane we sealed him in." And that is where we're going to call an end to tonight's session. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be back next week, and keep rolling.